It's almost 5 to 4. So just ahead of the roads, there's a runway closed at Heathrow Airport right now, leading to numerous delays and cancellations. All flights in and out of both Luton and City airports have been suspended, and all other airports are being affected by delays and cancellations because of the snow. The Heathrow Express is currently suspended. The Stansted Express is only running as far as Bishop Stortford. On the trains, all train services are subject to suspension, delay and cancellation. You're urged to check any travel arrangements before setting out on your journey. Buses, most London buses remain out of service. On the Underground, the Circle Line remains suspended. Hammersmith and City suspended between Liverpool Street and Barking. Almost all other lines have suspensions or delays. Only the Victoria Line and Waterloo and City lines are running a normal service. And on the roads...
Yeah, this weather has left lots of roads shut across the country, anywhere from Scotland to Devon, really. The A80 north of Cumbernauld, a broken down Alnwick Castle Carey, still causing long queues both ways. A66, that's still shut both ways between Brough and Bowes. The Snake Pass, the A57, that's shut both ways. Caller just rang to say that he's on the M1, north of Junction 29. Heavy snow there now, falling. He says blizzard conditions. M6, we've got 2 lanes shut northbound, 3 to 3A, just about a mile north of Cawley Services. There's a chemical spillage involved in this. There's only 1 lane open. It might be a while before it reopens. Thanks, Mad Major and Pete. A6 between Bakewell and Buxton, awful traffic. South of Norwich, the A140 is closed southbound at Broome, south of Scole. And finally in Kent, the M2 London bound near Faversham, 6 to 5. There's only 1 lane, actually there's 1 lane out of action due to an accident. 4.5 now.
Thanks, Sal.
BBC Radio 2.
The Big Show, 2 till 5. Radio 2.
Girls. In the next hour, we talk to top BBC weather guy. We play you an interview we've done recently with Phil Jupitus and Marcus Brigstock. Showbiz cuts, we've got Danny Boyle and Tilda Swinton, amongst others. Tim and Sal and Johnny on sport. And Sarah Delphi on astrology. All coming up on Steve Right in the Afternoon in the Snow. This is BBC Radio 2, online, on digital and on 88 to 91 FM.
BBC News at 4 o'clock, this is Fran Godfrey. The forecasters are warning that as much as 20 inches of snow could fall across parts of northern England this evening as Arctic weather spreads across more of the country. Another foot of snow could fall in London, which largely ground to a halt this morning because of the worst weather in 18 years. Buses were suspended, rail services were disrupted, and both runways at Heathrow were closed for a time. Tom Kelly is from the airport operator BAA.
We have now got 760 flights out of a daily total of 1,300 cancelled, so that gives you some idea of the problems there. Gatwick, Stansted and Southampton are open, but there are significant delays. The forecast for this afternoon is for further snow at Heathrow, so that is likely to be a continuing problem there.
Thousands of schools have been closed because of the bad weather from Kent to the Scottish borders, and courts at the Old Bailey did not sit. The Federation of Small Businesses estimates that nearly 6.5 million people didn't make it to work today, costing the country about £1.2 billion. The Business Secretary Lord Mandelson has insisted that British nationals are not being unfairly excluded from an engineering project in Lincolnshire. Staff at the Total oil refinery are protesting about the use of an Italian contractor to develop the plant. Wildcat strikes in support of the walkout are spreading to more oil and energy plants. Lord Mandelson told the House of Lords the overseas workers were being paid the same as UK staff and all relevant laws were being observed. China's Prime Minister Wen Jiabao has met Gordon Brown in Downing Street for talks. They discussed the global economic crisis and plans to boost links between their two countries. Jill McGivering reports.
The Chinese Prime Minister's visit is all about building confidence and easing the financial crisis. So Mr. Brown and Mr. Wen emerged from their talks eager to focus on good news, a series of new trade agreements and a British plan to double exports to China in the next 18 months. That, said Mr. Brown, was in line with his top priority, safeguarding British jobs. Both leaders also agreed the biggest danger the world faces is protectionism. Mr. Brown described that as the road to ruin.
A man has appeared in court in South London charged with the murder of John Abbey, who was stabbed in front of his young daughter last week. Charles Acquah, who's 22 and from Croydon, was remanded in custody. Mr. Abbey had been on his way to visit his wife and baby in hospital when he was stabbed. Marine explorers say they found a shipwreck in the Channel which is thought to contain $1 billion worth of gold. HMS Victory, the predecessor of Lord Nelson's flagship of the same name, sank in a storm in 1744. The Ministry of Defence has given the company which found the wreck permission to return to try to find the treasure. BBC News, 3 minutes past 4 and 5.
Fantastic. Johnny's on sport. What you got?
Hi, Steve. Footy first and on transfer deadline day. It looks like Robbie Keane is on his way back to Spurs just 6 months after leaving White Hart Lane for Liverpool. It's understood he's having a medical back at Spurs ahead of what will be a £15 million move. In other moves, Everton have agreed to sign striker Joe on loan from Manchester City until the end of the season, and Henri Camara has joined Stoke from Wigan on a similar loan deal. The weather has already led to several postponements tomorrow, amongst them Arsenal's FA Cup replay with Cardiff, the Championship matches at Crystal Palace and QPR, the League One games at Leyton Orient, Millwall and Carlisle, and the League Two games at Dagenham, Aldershot, Lincoln and Luton. Finally, cricket, and Andrew Flintoff has had a short bowl at full pace in Jamaica ahead of Wednesday's first test against the West Indies. Flintoff is battling to be fit for the game after suffering a side strain.
Thank you. And the forecast: blizzards, heavy snow.